Okay, my video today is about starter motor removal on the Watermota. I believe it's a Sea Tiger petrol engine. It's the pre-crossflow, and you can tell that because it's got the carburetor on top of the exhaust manifold there. So I thought I'd make a video about this because it was a lot harder than it should have been. And there's definitely a technique to it. There was a lot of scratching my head and trying to work out how to do it. I was just going to get someone at the marina to do it, but for one reason or another they wouldn't do it. I won't go into that. And they don't allow people from outside the marina to come and fix it, because I tried another local company, so I had to do it myself. So let's go down and show you the culprit. So this is the new one. Okay, I've done it now. It's in. So that's the new one. It's in there. You can see. So the removal, because of where it's situated, I think it needs a bit more play on this side to wiggle it in and out, and it hasn't got it in this boat. So I don't know whether I said it was a Seamaster 27 this is in. Okay, so the old one, let me explain how I get the old one out. So first of all, it's just two bolts on it. There's one there and there's one directly opposite on the other side. That was nice and easy. The other side's a bit more tricky, but if you get something with knuckles that look about like this, you can get round to that. Put one hand in that side, locate the socket, and then you can maneuver this all round through the gap and that till you get to a point where you can crack it, and then once you've cracked it you can actually take it off by hand, no problem. So I thought, oh, that's it, great, withdraw it straight out, and everything I'd read, and I've done starter motors before on cars, and it should just go straight out. Did it go straight out? No, it was hitting something. Yeah, it was. I think in hindsight, what it was hitting on was, because it's so tight here, it needs to come out at a bit of an angle, so it was hitting on the crank wheel. I did take some photos, so I might drop them in when editing. But so it wouldn't come out. It was bang, 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 hitting on there. It was going about an inch, and then that was about it. As I didn't care about the old starter motor, it took me quite a few sort of weekends to sort of try different things to get it out. I looked at whether you take this off, the Bendix at the end that spins round, whether you take that off. You can, but it would be extremely difficult. I did get some needle nose pliers and that to try doing that, but it's extremely difficult to do it in situ. In the end, I kind of realised that it needed to be at a bit more of an angle. So what I did, I undid on the back of the starter motor, there's one bolt there, and there's another one somewhere here. There's a couple, 2 or 3 anyway around it. I undid those, and I undid that and removed that, and actually removed the case and just left the insides, and I was able to move it over at enough of an angle to actually remove it. So it's great. So I took that out, so it was off, and because it was pretty old, I could have got it reconditioned, but in the end I decided that I would just purchase a new one. It was about 128 quid, I think, and I got it from Sheridan Marine, which does Freeman stuff for Freeman cruisers, but they use the same engines as this. They were actually quite helpful. Gave me a little bit of advice on how to try and get it out, but presumably the Freeman cruisers, they've made it a bit more accessible to do it, because they didn't think we'd have any trouble. But so anyway, bought a new one, this nice new one here. I've put it in, and again, putting it in was a struggle. I didn't have to take anything apart. I thought it was going to get to that stage, but it really is just a case of of having to wiggle, bit of prying on this side here. Had to get a screwdriver in there and sort of pry it over this way a little bit, so I think it was just so this thing would clear this part of the housing in there. Bit of leverage, got a mooring pole and put in that way to give me a bit of leverage. I tried giving it a little tap from that side, but it's so hard to get to. So anyway, it's in now. I'm in the middle of an oil change, which I'll do a separate little video on. But once I've done that, I will try and start it and see whether I haven't completely knackered up the starter, and see whether it works, and whether that was actually the problem. I did replace it. It was very slow cranking to a point, and then eventually it just stopped and just clicked. I did test the original solenoid for it, wherever it is. The original one. I tested it and it was good. There was not too much voltage drop on it, but I thought, well, okay, it's cheapish. I'll get one. So I got another one for it, and it still did exactly the same thing. So hence we've gone with starter motor. And just for those that might be thinking that the engine's seized, I don't think it is, because it was running. I've had it running a few times. I've not had the boat long. I've had it running a few times. It's just was getting to the point where it was just too slow to just crank it properly. So, and yes, I did check the battery. I'd fully charged the battery. I even bought a brand new one, and that didn't make any difference. So there we go. In summary, it's just a case of, if you're doing it yourself, time on this boat, time and patience, and a bit of leverage and a bit more patience. I was considering taking, if it really wouldn't go in, actually trying to take some of this the gearbox and housing back a little bit, so it would just move this over a bit, but that would have been sort of an almost last resort. The other thing I was thinking of doing was taking the housing off this new one, but again, that was a sort of a last resort. I really don't want to have to take the housing off a new one, and then try and put it back on when it's in there. But we got there in the end. It's probably taken me to put that back on 4 hours in total, so over a couple of days. So persevere and you'll get there.